Recording in progress.
Anybody want to open it with the microphone? Just so that everybody knows, I'm gonna fill you in a little bit. What's happening is that there's people in Banasadage, Tyandanaga, other people that wanted to participate, want to observe what's happening. So it's we're doing a live Zoom right now. We shared the code yesterday, the last couple of days. So there's people in different places that are observing. And there's also people in the south that are observing the process that we're doing, because this is of the utmost importance to everyone. As you know, that this is the only place that is engaged in a unification or a reunification or something where the people are coming together on any kind of level, to affect things in a positive way. So the people in the south are very interested. They're observing. So just so that everybody knows that today we brought this so that if everybody who wishes to speak, that it could reach, the microphone could reach everywhere for everybody in the circle. If somebody doesn't want to be videotaped, if they don't want to be on the live Zoom, then that's fine. They could stand up, sit off to the side here, or just beyond out of the range of the video, out of where everybody would be sitting. Okay, so that's it. If anybody disagrees, if anybody doesn't want to be in the live video, you'd have to move this. Sego, all the units. Maggie Phillips, and about the next bear clan. Father's Joel, who's in order, Daryl clan. We see everybody here on Zoom, and who showed up in person, just generation. Going to see us, Karigari Westa, Dr. Abu, and the Danson Wurad, this is quite busy. Meanwhile, so I am the result. You can Wurad, the Suma. They can Wurad, the videos. They can Wurad, the go I like to give acknowledgement to everything the Wings, Wing and Swiss for created. The sponsor, our mother. Give acknowledgement to Caradawa, who has the minds of the people in the past. Reader, the peacemaker who gave us the great love. I guess we start out with our unwanted guest here in Kanienkehaka. We have a company here by the name of Nexus from Laval. Implicating the dumpings in Kanienkehaka. We're looking for other companies. Nexus has been seen here in Kanienkehaka. Even our good friends JFK up the hill. Apparently the quarry is going to be stopping the quarrying in 2015, 2025, sorry. Here's something else. They want to start filling that hole. They're dumping in Kanienkehaka. Who else knows where? Here. To me, they're already filling that hole. The dead hole. They're working on the furthest east end. You gotta get these people stopped. They'll be expecting coming into our community. What are they doing? They see them rolling and they roll out with gravel. Nobody knows what's coming in. They're covered. We have reports of trucks going on 207 covered, coming into the territory with debris underneath them. We gotta find out what's going on. Our community is not a dump. None of our communities are a dump. So, update. There was Environment Canada analysis, surface water analysis done on JFK and Victor Boulevard surrounding my property, my family's property, Hemlock, the Stars. We asked for gas, PCBs, oil. All we got back was it's below the health risk. It's about what's below the health risk. Well, what you asked for. So I asked for about 5 things. What was it? And I never got a straight answer. So that has to be looked at. We want the analysis. We want to know what's there. We have gas and manganese and other such things at the bottom of the hill near my property in the swamp. Identical looking up the hill, but we can't find out what it is that's up there with the analysis. Thought from Chattagee was diesel. My neck of the woods on my side was gas. So that can't be implicated. Sits up on the hill. You know? Recent events. They're still at Tim Hortons. Right from where everything flows from the top of JFK down the east side. Was that done on purpose? Who knows? A lot of answering. Answering has got to be done. Do you have any audio or anything from anybody in Niagara?
Well, if you're on the Zoom, then they can. Is anybody there?
There's Kellyanne Wolf. I don't know if she's from there.
Oh.
Lisa Gibson?
No.
Hi, everybody. I'm sorry I'm in travel, right? I'm not from there. I am Ojibwe and Cree, but born and raised in Toronto. I actually just met with some, I want to say Sago, Tansi, and hello to everybody. I just met with some wonderful Mohawks from Tyendinaga last night and yesterday throughout the day. So I'm an activist. I'm a controversial one at times, but always with good intent. I promise that. I'm spoken about very badly sometimes of people, but they don't know me. And intentionally, sometimes I will put that out there so that we can draw attention to issues that need attention. So it's a very difficult thing, but when people get to know me, they really see who I am. And I am very honest, even if it hurts, even if it's embarrassing. But I've heard about this group and I've heard about what your intentions are and what you intend to do. And I think it's extremely important. So I'm happy to be here. I was the crazy girl they pulled off that speaker at Dundas Square. You know, I'm probably the most arrested person in the country when it comes to fighting for our freedoms. But I also understand the differences between all of our cultures across the land, all of our different groups, and that everyone needs to stop looking at each other and start looking in the same direction, or we are all going to lose our home. And that's all I care about. People will say that I'm in this for attention. I'm not. I'm actually going to ghost when I'm finished. Our ancestors and their teachings are extremely important to me. And growing up in a white world, knowing little of our heritage across the country, I was extremely grateful to be able to live within the teepees in Edmonton when we were with the Dene and the Cree and grandmother Nancy. And so I do take that portion of my heritage very, very serious. And I think that Canadians in general are ripe and ready for the teachings of all of our different tribal ancestors, and they're thirsty for it. And I think it's imperative that these things come to a front platform now across Canada and the world, to be honest.
All right, that's what's
Kellyanne.
Kellyanne. Okay, Very nice to hear from you. Okay, so this is basically what we are addressing here. Here in Kanienkehaka, the Kanienkehaka, what the rest of the world knows as Mohawk, that the Kanienkehaka are being affected by everything of the complete genocide of the last 500 years. So here, what we're addressing, this small group that refers to itself as the Kanienkehaka Land Defenders, has developed out of necessity that the people have to defend their water rights, their land rights, their health, their safety, because the so-called system, powers that be, of course, they're not doing that. They're the ones that are selling us out. They're the ones that are selling permits to corporations to come and dump here in Kanienkehaka. That is poisoning the water table. That ends up affecting the children, ends up affecting everybody because the water table and everything is destroyed. Poison. So we're looking at addressing these things, but also everything else that is coming down upon us. Here in Kanienkehaka, of the few other issues that we have to address so that people know and understand what our focus is here, is that the focus is the land, but it's not just in one area. It's like we're being bombarded 360 degrees around us in every direction. So we have to fight off everything. So right now, what's going on here is what Kerry identified is Nexus, which is basically part of the construction mafia of any city has it, where it's not really like an organized mafia. It's just that construction companies have crazy restrictions upon them, and then for them to be able to turn a profit, that they have to be able to cut corners, and their cutting corners is dumping all of their raw materials, all of their poison stuff, and finding a cheap place to do it. And so Kanienkehaka, Kanesatake, any reserve is the prime target for companies such as Nexus to come and find somebody, and there's always somebody willing, as you know, to make $1 million off of landfill. How many families in Kanienkehaka have made millions of dollars off of landfill, poisoning and destroying the land? Well, that's an individual. It could be right next door to us. Well, I remember when Harry's father was still alive, Harry Sr., that in the land that they had out by towards Chattagee on the left side of the road as you're going to Chattagee, where Goodleaf was filling in, they had property out there, and they filled in all the property except for the property where Harry was, and it left them with no property because it filled in as a swamp. So they had land, but it filled in as a swamp. As soon as the greedy people next to them accept money to landfill. So the thing is, for something like, such as this, where it's creeping up on us in tiny little areas, we don't acknowledge, we don't see the advancements, because it's one tiny little thing of Nexus coming in, somebody dumping. It's another thing of like what I just identified, and then we also have corporate invasion of ownership of our land here in Kanienkehaka. Corporate ownership of lands. Now, anybody hearing that, I know that Kanienkehaka does not understand what that means. Because if you understood what it means, you would know that a white man has the right to own land here in Kanienkehaka, already owns land in Kanienkehaka. Because any corporation, if it's made up entirely of natives, it doesn't matter. It has the legal status as non-native. And so when a corporation has the right to buy up land here in Kanienkehaka, that is selling out the people of Kanienkehaka. That is selling out the authority of the people. When we identify that, oh, the women are the power, the women own the land, all this and that. No, it's not true. You don't own nothing as women, because corporate owns your land. Right now in Kanienkehaka, the corporation that is buying up everybody's land is the Ottagenhas. Big deal. They put a native name on it. That's community services. That's a registered corporation under Quebec. And if they are allowed to buy land and own land here in Kanienkehaka, which you know they are, they're buying up houses, which means that young women, young single mothers, which, you know, Kanienkehaka is famous for this, that they have to move out of Kanienkehaka, or they have to wait for some kind of housing that's never available to them, when the system is buying up all the housing in Kanienkehaka, buying up all the old houses up the hill across from the school, that Pearl's Hilltop Lunch, that building sold to social services. Do you think it's just the building that they own? Or is it the land too? It's the land. If a corporation can own any land in Kanienkehaka on a reserve, that means it's not a reserve. That means something has changed. What changed allowing this to happen where white people can own land here in Kanienkehaka? What changed? Who changed it? We always knew that, hey, only Mohawks from Kanienkehaka can own land in Kanienkehaka, right? Well, how is it now that a corporation can own land in Kanienkehaka? What happened? What changed? What do you think had to change in order for that to happen? Do you think it's just somebody in the lands office that said, okay, I'll register this under a corporation when they know it's illegal? Do you think it's just somebody in the land office that done that? That is all the people in the band system that has created that so that corporations can own land here in Kanienkehaka. To the point of where you, if you think, well, the band system is yours, that you are currently in court by a mafia, non-native corporation for owning a casino here in Kanienkehaka. And you have to foot the bill for that. You're paying for that. When it's the band system that has created these so-called laws, selling the people out, enabling that our land is no longer our land. So these are the kind of things that we are confronting, that we got to talk about here today, that nobody else is going to talk about. As you see, water, clean drinking water, that should be number one priority for everybody. As you see, nobody in Kanienkehaka actually cares. Nobody cares. As long as they got the system that will pump water into everybody and they pay your taxes to keep your water, nobody's going to care about what's happening to the groundwater. That's the way the people of Kanienkehaka are now. So it means that whoever finds it within their heart and mind to know that we got to stand to protect our land from corporate ownership, that means you're not fighting a corporation. You got to fight your own people. It's the band system. But wait a minute. They're supposed traditional people in Kanienkehaka, right? Isn't there a 207 Longhouse? Isn't there a Mohawk Trail Longhouse? Aren't these traditional people? And as traditional people, don't they claim also that the land belongs to the women, that the women are the title holders of the land? So why wouldn't they be concerned and be coming out and saying anything about corporate ownership, taking ownership away from women, away from you, the mothers? How come these people are not saying anything? Because they're a part of the process. They're complying with it. So or they're scared. Who's not going to be confronted by violence here in Kanienkehaka if you're going to stand up for something where you know that what you're standing up against is millions of dollars, and you know that the people with the millions of dollars, they'll do anything. They'll even try to kill you for their millions of dollars. So are you going to be afraid? What I've seen all my life is people being chicken shit here in Kanienkehaka. Too chicken shit to stand up. Too afraid to stand up against the real enemy. That's what Kanienkehaka has become. And in the process, now we have corporate ownership of lands here in Kanienkehaka. How many houses? You look in the village here first. Look at the late Danny Montour's house. Lorraine Montour's house. Bought up by the system. And they put a big building behind it to make a court. And you look up near the youth center. First, would they buy it as information center or tourist center information? That's Colin Phillips's late mother's house. You look at the Sailor House on the OCR, social services. It's all owned by the system. Who said that the system can own any of our land? Who said that they can buy up the houses that are currently here that can be housing our people, that can be housing young single mothers, when we know that they're waiting, that they're even moving out of Kanienkehaka? And we know a lot of people just want to are moving out of Kanienkehaka because they're fed up, because they're sick and tired. Because, like you said, everybody's too chicken shit. They're too afraid to come out and say anything. Too afraid because they got to stand up against who? Their own family, because their own family selling them out. Who do you think is selling us out? Who could stab you in the back? Could your enemy stab you in the back? No, they can't. Only somebody you can trust. That's the only person who could stab you in the back. This thing right here stabbing us in the back. Who done that to us? Do we think it was just done to us? Or was there people here in Kanienkehaka compliant selling us out within the ban system? Yes. We all know. So you know what? Whatever is wrong, it's because somebody's father done it. Somebody's brother, somebody's uncle, somebody's husband, somebody's boyfriend, somebody's wife, somebody's mother, somebody's aunt, somebody's grandmother. Because you know for certain here in Kanienkehaka, in order for anything bad to happen to us, come down on all of us, it's family that's selling us out. What do you do about that? What do you do about family that keeps on selling us out? That keeps making things worse and worse for us? Are you happy that you can have corporate ownership of lands here in Kanienkehaka? Is it something for us to allow, or is it something for us to address? The same way that it's for us to address what's happening with the lands, with the waters, where with the dumping of Nexus and everything that's going on there. We got to stand up. We can't just stand up and say, oh, this one thing when everything else is happening too. It's got to be everything all together. And so to address it all together, we may not see like big outcome from this process, but this is now our fourth meeting. And our fourth meeting, plus a barbecue in there, which the barbecue was really good, as everybody knows. But it's our first attempts to bring ourselves together, to give our children, our faces yet beneath the earth, a fighting chance, where we will come together. Because you consider just where we are. What did you see in your lifetime? I'll say to you, you're basically closer to my age. Did you see division in Kanienkehaka, or have you seen a unification? Well, okay, so division, that's here. This is what you've seen in your life. You have not seen, I know, you have not seen any level of unification of the divisions of people. All you see is what Mohawks have become famous for, causing problems and running away from. That's what Mohawks are famous for. They'll even move from the entire community, move a whole bunch of them out of the community and run away from the problems that they cause. So the thing is that we gotta reverse that process. We gotta bring ourselves together. And it's not that we're gonna find solutions for these things right now, today, because we're sitting here for the fourth time together. It might take many times for us to sit together, but we have to be astute. We have to address the things that are, in fact, destroying us currently, that are right at our doorstep. So this thing of what you said, Nexus coming in to dump. Now you said something about Lisa Gibson, the connection to Kanienkehaka. This is what they've been fighting also. It's the same company. Okay, so are we waiting? Are we dependent on any information coming from Lisa right now?
Stuart, the mic.
Just was asked to give some first-hand information from what was going on. Not on present, no.
Okay, so it's not bringing us any valuable information in order to fit like within what you identified the other day, that you want to create like an eviction notice, or a notice to them to stay out of the community. Okay, so we're not waiting on any information from her. So then this is something that we can conclude here for the people gathered, just to identify, is this something that we can even identify? To say, we don't want a company like Nexus coming in to dump on anybody's land. Can we say this? Is this something that we are willing to address?
There's a big article in the Eastern Door this week about it. So if anybody wants to pick it up and read it, there's all kinds of information on there about what's happening there presently. And now the Quebec government has finally stepped in and is willing to like help the people to do some like analysis and whatever else, but they don't name specifically the company, or they did name one company,
In our cycle.
Yeah, GNR Recycling. So if anybody wants to pick that up and read that, you'll get more information about like what we're actually talking about.
Okay, so to do this, what you were talking about, getting a, like a notice for them to stay out of the community. So we can create like a generic thing identifying any, companies dumping any kind of toxic waste materials or garbage or landfill, anything like this, that Kanienkehaka is no longer, permitting any dumping like this. Is this something that is like what was in your mind?
So actually, I'm gonna be gathering some intel about actually who else is doing the dumping there. And, so I'll be receiving a letter. Yeah. So once we have that, information, they pass my front door every day, so guys everywhere. See them here, Nexus is here, we're gonna find out who else is there, and a lot of trucks every day, trucks gotta start getting pulled over, inspected. What are you bringing into our home? What exactly are you bringing into our home? Storing it next to our water table.
Okay, so what you just said, that the difference between here and Kanienkehaka is that the ban system in Kanienkehaka doesn't allow it. But the ban system here in Kanienkehaka allows that dumping. As they receive. This is what we know all along, like here in Kanienkehaka, that the so-called environment office, it's a sham. It was created to bring in landfill in Kanienkehaka. That's what the environment office was created for here in Kanienkehaka.
Um, 1986, the Kanienkehaka Environment and Landfill Office. I guess it's kind of like the KSCS. Yeah. They're the ones they redug the Suzanne River, they built the golf clubs. Uh, the same people, just changed their name. So for the original dumpers in this place. Made the dumps, they made golf clubs over the dumps. So just change the name and people are gonna forget. But if you want to look at it, it's on the internet. Anybody wants to.
Or when there was billboards.
See, it's stuff like this that people forget, that it just, it's like creating a problem, you don't fix it, so everybody's gonna forget about it in a few years. But you think of all the landfill in Kanienkehaka that people aren't aware of, that came in under the system that you just identified. Guaranteed, nobody remembers, because it happened when I was a kid, so none of you are gonna know about it. All the land from Johnson's Beach to the Elders Lodge, all landfill. Where did all that landfill come from? All of that landfill was under question when it came in, because when that was coming in the late 60s, early 60s, because it was all being filled in from the seaway. They were taking stuff from the seaway. They were taking stuff from the city at the same time. So all of that there was all cement. It's all big cement chunks there. I know, because when I was a kid, I was playing there in it with my friends. It was all swampy. It was a swamp area. You must remember that being a swamp area there. It's all down the hill from where you're at. All those homes, that's all on landfill. Of course, the Clay Hills, it's landfill. But regardless, that the landfill that has been brought in, this has been managed for money by the system. So if the reality, if we're gonna look at, anybody coming in and dumping here, whose fault is it? Is it the poor person who's, gonna take money from anybody? How much did they get per truckload? I remember when they were, when they started off, when the environment office started off, it was $10 a truckload, the landfill that they were taking, getting thousands a day.
The way it works is, companies bring money here and the council get money. So, when you accept landfill, you gotta sign a contract that you're not getting any money. That it's just the council. That's bringing the money. So that, even that's taken away from.
So,
I know for a fact.
you could, receive it, but you won't get the money for it now. That's, you talk about the mafia. When you think of construction mafia, it's not a construction mafia, like I said, of, an actual organization. It's the system. And just like the white man system, here in Ganawage, the band system is an exact duplicate of that white man system. So if we're gonna create, a notice to keep out any of these companies from coming and dumping here, it's not to them. It's not to these companies that we gotta create this. You gotta talk to the band system. You gotta say no to the band system. How many people, the reality, if we're gonna come and look at who's gonna address the band system, you all know. I got nothing to do with the band system. How many people are connected to it? What are you gonna do about your connections to that band system when you know that they are doing precisely what this Perry just identified? Said, yeah, you can receive the landfill, but the band system is putting the money in their pocket. They should not even have that process of where that's possible. No landfill into Ganawagi. Isn't this what we identify? Is this the position, the sentiment of the Kanienkehaka Land Defenders? Should it be our position? No landfill, no, no garbage, no dumping, no outside dumping in Ganawagi. The only kind of landfilling in Ganawagi should be something if there's land being dug up in one part of Ganawagi, brought to another part of Ganawagi. There should be no external. And so this is where, if we're gonna address this issue, it's gotta be addressed to the whole system. So how do you propose then, if you wanna put out a notice? I got no problem if you wanna go to the band system and saying, yous are the problem in the poisoning of the lands and the landfill, and they gotta be shut down. I got no problem if you want to do this. What do you want to do? This is the thing. Do we just want to talk about stuff? We got to get to a point of where something's got to be done about it. So if we're going to talk about the landfill, it's not those companies that we got to address. It's not JFK that we got to address. It's the one that makes it happen. The band system.
I actually called the chief maybe about 2 weeks ago now when we first initially seen like this company that's dumping in Kanesatake. And I left a message and I wrote him a thing on the messenger too, and no response, no call back, no nothing. So we tried to address it with him and he's avoiding it. So
Okay, so where do we stand on this thing? What's the ideas in anybody's head? If we want to say to stop any outside dumping here in Ganawagi, do you see any other avenue? Do you see where we should be focused somewhere else? Should we be focused on this company? Should we be focused on JFK? Or should we be focused on that band system? What's in your minds here?
Focus on everybody. Everybody that's responsible. Where it's being dumped, who's allowing it, who's bringing it in, who's being affected. Everything has to be addressed.
Okay, so if everything has to be adjusted, does anybody got any ideas on this? How are we gonna adjust this? Is it just something that we're gonna come here to these meetings that we got and we'll talk about it? Any ideas?
Kellyanne chats, she says that we need to form a coalition between farmers and natives.
Okay, well, for this, that coalition between farmers and natives, that's at a different stage. It's a more advanced stage. We're right here in Ganawagi right now for us to it's like at the seed level. So at the seed level, we gotta determine if we want to grow it. Because it's like we're a GMO seed right now here in Ganawagi. We gotta determine, are we gonna stay the way that we are, or we're gonna do something? This is where, for me, I don't know what's in people's minds, because I know that when there's something negative that's got to be addressed, I know that how to address it. I take action to address it. What's in the hearts and minds of the people to be able to do about this?
I said I'm tired of just sitting around and just talking about it now. Like, it'd be nice to see some action. Like, even if we just have to go out there, we've gone out there before about the JFK situation, and we just like sneak attack, kind of like went there one morning, all planned to go there, didn't announce it on the internet or anyway, and we went out there and we did get their attention. But it's also like we have to keep on them. We can't just go there once and expect them to care. It's got to be like in their face every single day. Like, you know what I mean? Or once a week, whatever it is, like, you know?
Okay, to me, I see that when you identified that the difference between Ganasadagi and here is that the ban system in Ganasadagi doesn't permit dumping, but the ban system here does. So they profit off of it. So when you tell me this, that clear, we know who the problem is, what the problem is. The problem is not JFK. The problem is not this company that's coming to dump at JFK. The problem is the system that gives the permits that profits off of that. That's the problem. So we can focus on everybody that's a part of it. But let's see what happens when we focus on the people who are right now profiting because of the system says that you can profit off of it. Do you think that if you're gonna go up against them, I seen the one video on the road on the 207, and we see somebody wanting to take their jacket off and come across the street and fight. Oh, that's a ridiculous thing. People are just standing in the street in the protest, and somebody wants to fight. When you know that how Ganawagi is that when you're threatening their millions of dollars, that they will even try to kill you. That's as far as they will go. So when we know this and we address the person who is the individual making the millions of dollars off of it, we are focused in the wrong area. We got to focus in the person who's giving them that power. And that person who's giving them the power, you just referred to them wrongly. You identified to them as a chief, which they're not. They're a mayor. They're an elected mayor. They're part of a white man's democracy, so there's no chiefs within that. So this is our systemic problems here, is that when we ourselves, we got to stay solid in what our position is all the way. And so if our position is to identify they are the problem, then if they are the problem and you refer to them as your chief, then they are not your problem. You are the problem. This is what we got to understand about how and where we lose power and who steals power from us. So I'm going to propose something here, because the reality is of what we're seeing is that as we come back together, it's really just thoughts in people's minds. So what I'm going to propose here, based on what was presented, the people who presented, what is said of Ganasadagi not permitting it. Here they're permitting it clearly. They are the issue. They are the problem. These other things that got to be addressed all got to be incorporated. We're going to formulate a position, a document. Big deal. It's just a document. But that document, if it's verified, affirmed by us, then it's something that we're going to have to live by. We're going to have to stand for. So the document isn't going to just say, oh, this is what's good and this is what's bad, and we don't want nothing to do with bad, and we only want good. It's not going to just say that. It's going to say, this is what we're going to do to get rid of the bad. It's going to say the action. And so then once we have a document formulated like this, if it is affirmed and approved by everyone, then we're going to have to take this action. So right now, I'll say that for here on this one issue, that we already know pretty much everybody's sentiment on it. I'll say that we can, if it's in your mind, that we can include what a projected position. To have a position within maybe by the end of the week. If you recall that the last meeting when we were here, that position had come out by or statement came out by Melissa. I forget how it came out, but just something saying that we got to do something about the system, the band system. I forget exactly what it was. Anyways, as you've seen, it formulated into, yeah, we got to make a position. So then the position came, the document came a little while later. So it's like the same type of thing that we will do. So it's a matter of that first, we're just coming together. We're like fighting against the current to come together, bring our thoughts together, and those thoughts will then give us a trajectory of what we'd be shooting for. So anybody can look at this and say, hey, what gets done here? What happens? Nothing. That's because nobody else is doing nothing. That's why anybody can say it looks like nothing, because incremental movements are basically, they're like undetectable. Okay, so this is what I'll propose our house, that this is what we'll do. We'll formulate a document that addresses the source of the allowing of any kind of dumping here in Kanienkehaka. If this is okay, then in everybody's minds, this is what we're gonna work on and present back to use in the thread, the page of the Kanienkehaka Land Defenders. Okay, so on this issue of creating a statement, making a position to keep out any kind of dumping in Kanienkehaka, landfilling, toxic fill, any of this stuff, to address it as a blanket policy that it's no longer permitted here in Kanienkehaka. So we're going to create this position. We'll present it to you. Is this okay in everybody's minds?
It's a good idea to make a statement, but it's just that I think it's a letter, it's a document, and I mean, people can either choose to either read it or they can throw it away. You know, that's just my feeling is that, you know, I mean, you can either look at it, you can either choose to look at it or not. So like, okay, I mean, we can have a position, but we need to have like an action behind it. We need to stand by that, but not like, you know, I'm not saying, you know, like let's go storm the bank council right now. You know, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that like we gotta be proactive. We gotta be proactive, and yeah. That's it.
Okay, let me just ask you then, on the issue of landfill, anything coming from Kanienkehaka, anything external. Now, mind you, again, landfill, we got no problem if you dig it up in your yard and you bring it to another part of Kanienkehaka. That should be no issue for anybody in town. Anything from Kanienkehaka can be dumped somewhere else in Kanienkehaka. But anything external. So now, anything external, you're nothing. We're saying nothing. Okay, if something's contaminated in town, say like a gas station or something, then that can't just be dug up and then moved to another part of town. It's got to be treated. Okay. So this common sense like this, but now just to address the external, that nothing external can come into Ganawagi. With that, can you agree with that position? Is that a position that you can endorse? Nothing external. Okay.
Okay, I agree that there shouldn't be people allowed to come in here to dump in our territory. Because I believe that they all have they got more land than us. They got more ditches and things that they could they could fill it in their own properties. But I mean, they shouldn't come here just because, you know, like, oh, maybe because they don't want to, because maybe they have to pay to actually, because they have laws, they got bylaws, they got all this stuff, and then they have to, it's a waste, so it's like waste management, taxes and, you know, write-offs and all this stuff. So I guess maybe they come here to just, to just, so that way they don't have to deal with the people. Yeah, and I mean, it's not right. No, it's not right. They shouldn't be coming here to dump on our land, you know? They have their, you know, they should stay, they don't want us. We couldn't do that. We couldn't take our stuff and just, you know, go to Chattagee and dump in the big landfill there, you know? I mean, look in Ontario, they finally searched those landfills for those missing women, those bodies, you know, after like months and years of just having to go back, we'll do it, maybe we'll do it. Oh, the cost and the price, everything all has a cost. And it shouldn't be that way. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, so words, but action. So this is the process. What we're doing here is it's a refinement of first. We're all sitting at home in our personal experiences where nobody can do anything, anyways. But we come together here to bring our thoughts together, where we can share our collective experience, and where we can possibly do something about it together by bringing our minds together and identifying what is the true culprit, who is truly responsible for any given thing. In this thing, we clearly identify that there are players here. There's a player of, say, JFK Quarry that's accepting pollutants being brought into the community. Okay, and then there is the non-native company that's bringing it in. But they are not the only two players. We know that the other player, who is the most important player, the one that makes it possible, is in fact the ban system. That they are the ones that create the permits, because the reality, again, ever since I can remember, since the 50s, they've been receiving landfills because it's extra money for them. The ban system gets extra money to receive poison that poisons all of us.
Yeah, right now I'm having an issue on my land, on my little parcel of land, which is big as a little mosquito. And well, now that I own my land and I have owned my home straight out, I have
people next to me that are encroaching on my land, and I'm sick of it because now they put a garbage dumpster right in my kitchen so I could smell the dumpster every day. And and this happened on Friday. They had the garbage dumpsters coming from, and they made them do it, put it right in back of my stove area where I can smell it. And this dumpster doesn't even have a lid. I've been complaining about it for 20 years. And the late Randy Goodleaf was the first one, and now it's gone to Mike Stock, and they're claiming that my land is their land. It's bullshit because there was steel, metal picks put in these places, and now they're gone, and there's wooden replacements. And I'm like, it's so encroachment. It's so raping my land. And I said, and anytime I say anything, it's like that it falls on deaf ears. And I'm fed up. I'm fed up because I'm like, this is crazy. You know, it's like all I'm asking. And when I ask something, it's like they put more on it. It's like I asked 2 years ago, put a lid on now. It stinks. People go in there from the apartments next to me, and they empty their trash. They have it in a bag, but they empty it, and it's all food, rotten food. And I'm like, I was smelling that now. I said, I gotta smell it right in my kitchen. I can't even open my window now. And I'm like, I'm fed up. And so my daughter, can you speak now? She went on Friday and she spoke with someone. Can you come and speak now? And this is what happened, and she'll tell you.
Okay, so what happened was on Friday, I was working at public safety, and then my mother called me on my lunch break, telling me that there was they put the garbage right up against the house, practically our house. And then so she was upset about it, and I told her, I said, okay, I'll talk to somebody and get somebody to go look at it. So then what happened was I went back, I talked to Lance Goodleaf, and then like right away he kind of said that, oh, it's a Dennis issue, talk to Lloyd. And I'm like, no, I'm talking to you right now. Can you just go take a look at it? Because my mother called me, she was upset, and I'm concerned, you know? So then, you know, I had to basically, because like right away, Lance's thing was like, you know, I went to Lance and I just said, okay, like, who do I speak to about if like somebody put the garbage dumpster in front of in front of somebody's house? And he's like, well, what's the problem? You know, like I have to explain, like there has to be an issue. You can't just be like, you can't just hear that, oh, okay, well, like, all right, someone just dumped, like, you know, it's like if somebody dumped a dead body on your property, and it's like, yeah, can you come and take it away? It's like, well, what's the problem? You want that? So anyway, it turned out that it was Dennis LeBourne ended up going to take a look, and then came back. He said that he told me in his office that basically there's no issue. He didn't see any immediate need for it to be looked at. And then he just said, okay, well, like if anything, it's a civil issue. You have to deal with them yourself, basically. Yeah, I know. I mean, like they just yeah, they are, they already have their agenda or whatever, you know. Yeah. Yeah.
You have pictures if you want to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that That too, like, we have neighbors that, like, they will literally take their dogs to go and crap in my grandmother's yard. And then they'll crap in our yard, like right in the front of our house, on the side of our house. And we're just supposed to just stand there and be like, well, like don't say nothing because, oh my God, some girl was in prison before. Yeah.
Neatly pile it on the doorstep, but you can't throw it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Pile all the dogs that you're letting.
Yeah. Oh, that happened one time. My neighbor, our neighbor, she actually did that. She had a bag of like dog crap, and then she actually came and she put it right on top of our shed because she thought it was from us, but it wasn't. Because when I had a dog, I trained him to just stay in our yard. He never went anywhere else. So, it's just disrespect, total disrespect. I mean,
Disrespect. This is, not in the field of law. Like where they said it's like civil, it's something that we gotta handle on that level. Disrespect is something that, unfortunately, is gonna walk in. No, but the thing is, you can't instill the respect to people. No, you can't. So the issue that you're addressing here is what's missing. This is what we gotta look at. What's missing? What's missing for the witness, the life giver, to feel comfortable? Now, when you got an issue of that, oh, the next door neighbor is encroaching a little bit and it's garbage and it smells. It's not law, it's respect. But that is where within the clan, that there's supposed to be somebody within the clan, either the clan mother or the head, the male chief or female chief, that might address these things, to keep people to deal with people's emotions, their feelings, keep everybody happy. Yeah. But legally, that level, that's where it's like out of law, and it's like it's free law. It's not law yet. It's not like a legal issue. Yeah. So what it is the social issue. Again, what's missing is the clan structure. Because without the clan structure there, then you don't have, as a life giver, you don't have the males there to carry out or perform their functions. Mm-hmm. So this
believe me, the only person in our whole neighborhood that actually does anything to try to help us is our 90-year-old neighbor right now who tries, who used to actually cut our lawn.
But that'd be the only one old enough, I know, to remember what respect is like.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But he's the only one.
Yeah. Here in Kanienkehaka, try to find them.
But
okay. Look, the issue, part of the issue that you brought up, mentioning about the women, I don't know if it was one of you who mentioned it about in Winnipeg. You mentioned it. Okay, so this issue, when you think of the landfill, like what you said, we don't bring our landfill or our garbage out there to them. Why would they bring theirs here to ours? Now let's see. In the extreme case of what their landfill is, it contains dead bodies. Right. We know that. Right. So just think of what kind of landfill was it in Winnipeg where these women's dead bodies were buried? Was it just a dump? No, it's not just a garbage dump like your household garbage. No, it's landfill. Landfill meaning if it was here, it'd be construction mafia. If it was here in Kanienkehaka, it would be Nexus bringing that stuff in where this would be taking place. So we got to think. The non-native world, in all of their corruption, everything that we know is there. All the murder, all the rape that they have, victims' bodies dumped. The best place to dump it. Well, you think, I don't know, but you know that they're fully aware that you dump them in landfill sites. So here, on a reserve. Because there's going to be somebody on a reserve, somebody stupid enough to receive that money, because we got all of our priorities backwards. Because we got a system in place, the people have permitted it, that promotes disrespect, that promotes the exact opposite of community, that promotes pitting the people up against each other. Because if you're selling a permit to one person in Ganawagi to receive landfill, you know that the people next to you are going to be very upset about it. So the ban system that's selling those permits is in the business of dividing the people, purposely dividing the people. So when we consider all of these things, then this is, like we said, again, I'll present it to you as to identify or to address when you said words must take action. So what we're looking at right now is presenting the best position that would be acceptable to absolutely everyone in Ganawagi. To say no outside landfill. And it's already identified what landfill would be accepted from in Ganawagi, blah, blah, blah. You know, all of that is identified. We're saying nothing else external ever again. That the system that allows it is what we are going to address. That is the corruption that must be stopped. And so once we formulate this position, like we said, if it's affirmed by the people on the Kanienkehaka Land Defenders, then it will be something that we must take into action. So this would mean that if we got this document within, say, 2 weeks, and then we have a gathering within 3 weeks, then we'll have a position, an action that we're going to take within 4 weeks. So it's not to say that this is just words and, oh, what are we going to do with it? Nothing just out there for anyone to accept or not accept. What we're identifying is that everybody's got to put their money where their mouth is. So if you're in the Kanienkehaka Land Defenders, once this position is out there, we're either going to affirm it or else you're going to say the reason why you can't affirm it. And then we're going to adjust that and we're going to fix it so that it's going to be a statement and position that everyone can stand behind, that we can then take action. We can take that then to the system and shut that system down with that by identifying to the world that the people of Ganawagi no longer permit this, that it's only the ban system, that its compliance with corruption is what is compromising the people's health, safety, and welfare of Ganawagi. So this is what we propose. This is what's going to be put across. Is this okay in your minds that this be the route, the steps that we take to address this? Is this okay in your minds? Okay, so we're gonna create this position. We're gonna post it on, we're gonna share it on the Kanienkehaka Land Defenders within the week, by the end of the week. So everybody should be looking at it. Get your position, if there's something that you disagree with, identify what it is. If there's something that you think should be taken out of it or added in, identify what it is and why. There is no longer the childish behavior that our people have been conducting themselves in that's going to be acceptable. We're not going to accept it. You're going to put your money where your mouth is, or you're going to say either yes or no, and the reasons why. This way we will move as a people. Not being able to say that in the future, like where yous are, what happened to us? What happened? The elders before you, what did they do? They permitted this to happen. We're looking at trying to take action so that your grandchildren won't be in the same place that you're in right now. So it's action. What? It's got to be a stoop in these steps so that everything is going to be like all our I's are going to be dotted and all our T's. Okay, so on this issue, what you brought up, Kerry, about the Nexus coming in, starting to dump here. It's the same company as in Ganasadagi. We're going to incorporate our sisters and brothers like in Ganasadagi to Ganawagi. We're going to incorporate it so that it is a word spoken on behalf of not just of Kanienkehaka of Ganawagi, but of all the 5 nations Longhouse Confederacy. It will be law solid for everyone, that no one will be able to say this is not our position. Everyone will be able to say this is our position. Okay, so on that, is there anything then that I put across that isn't right or proper in the way that we gathered the information here today and then to formulate what our position is gonna be. If there's anybody that has anything to say, disagree with it in any way, you should present it now if we did something wrong. In the proceedings. Okay, so if there isn't, then now the other issues we gotta address. Now, here, this is just really discussion level, depending on how far you want to go. What is it? What's our position on corporate ownership of the lands of Kanienkehaka? Do you want to address that? Do you want to say that it is illegal for corporate ownership of lands of Kanienkehaka? Do you want to address it? Okay, is there anybody here who doesn't see or doesn't understand the position of that we cannot have corporate ownership any of our lands? Is there anyone who doesn't understand that position? Okay, so I take it that everybody understands that we cannot allow corporate ownership of the lands of Kanienkehaka. So then this means that we have to address what has permitted corporate ownership of the lands of Kanienkehaka. So what we're gonna do is this week, if anybody wants to assist us or help us, this is gonna be the plan of approach here. Is that first thing, we're gonna go to community services, and we're gonna ask them, how many properties in Kanienkehaka do they manage? How many do they own and manage? That's what we're gonna ask them. We're gonna ask them to divulge the list of properties. No, they're probably not gonna want to do that. So they're probably gonna say to us, well, you have to apply to the Access to Information Act. If they do this, this is perfect what we want, because then it shows that they are not Kanienkehaka owner, that they are in fact the white man, because access to information belongs to who? Where does this come from? Quebec, Canada, that's them. So here in Kanienkehaka, any public corporation should divulge information to anyone in Kanienkehaka who is requesting to know the properties that they own, right? That should be open to any of us. So there should not be any response of that you have to apply through the Access to Information Act. So this means that this week, when we approach social services, the Yatagan has community services, and ask them how many properties they manage, they should tell us, divulge it right away. Now, as soon as they know, soon as they divulge that information, then we're going to share that with everybody. We're going to share the list of properties. So you will know, this is the list of properties here in Kanienkehaka that young Kanienkehaka families cannot have access to. So what it is, it will be identified as a reserve within a reserve. You know whose reserve it is within our reserve? It's the white man's reserve. So that property, every property that is owned by community services, that property up the hill, Pearl's Hilltop Lunch, the Sailor's House on the OCR, and the other properties, that is a reserve. No native person can own that again here in Kanienkehaka. You cannot, because it belongs to a corporation now. By law, the band system has known since 1993, when we put out the document. It was a letter from Phil Schneider with Myrtle Bush. When Myrtle Bush was running to be in the band system, she requested a legal position from him on the bank in Kanienkehaka. And we printed that letter in the Eagle Scribe. That letter is the legal position of corporations, identifying the band system knew since the early 90s that any corporation, even if it's owned entirely by natives, is viewed legally as a non-native entity and is therefore taxable. So this means that those lands that social services owns, these houses, those lands are taxable. A corporation registered within Quebec and Canada has to abide by their laws and their rules. that means they gotta file their taxes. They're paying taxes on this property here in Kanienkehaka. Do you think it's any other way different than what I just said?
It's the same thing. Okay, like, I'm trying to figure out the same thing has
Is it the same thing as the Kanienkehaka Golf Club? The way they own that, and then they just keep every 100, whatever. I mean, we're never gonna see the owning again of the land because they just again put it up for another 100 years, signed it over. Is that the same kind of situation we're talking about? Or is this because they're
Okay, it's basically the same thing because the reality of legally, the ban system cannot make these agreements with the federal government that has permitted this. And what it is under, it's under fee simple. So yes, the golf club is under fee simple status. So fee simple status, pretty much take for granted that none of you here know or understand what fee simple status actually is. I'll take that for granted that you don't know what that means. What it means is that the ban system has bought into the white man's piracy and asked to become a part of his pirate gang so that now they can be the so-called government or representation here in Kanienkehaka as the municipality, as the tax collecting structure. So this is what gives them the right under fee simple, but that's only under self-government. Now, self-government is, I know nobody's gonna know or understand or give a damn about this stuff anyways. Self-government is under the two-row wampum. Now think about this. You everybody says two-row wampum, right? That's ours, two-row wampum. Okay, if you were claiming two-row wampum with the white man, would you be able to prove that you are on our side of the two-row wampum? Would you be able to prove that? Or would the white man be able to prove that you are on his side of the two-row wampum? And therefore, if you're on his side of the two-row wampum, do you have access to your rights of the two-row wampum? Of course not. This is where I know that the people of Kanienkehaka, it's beyond their understanding of what is happening to them. You can't comprehend it. People are just involved carrying out a stupid action that was done by their parents and their parents and their parents, and you are just following the same thing. The people do not think anymore. So yes, it's the exact same thing as the golf club, which is under fee simple status, which means that when you give a 99-year lease, that means it's gone forever. Forever. You never get it back. And you think about this. The fact is that when that golf course was renewed, when was it? In the 90s, I think. And everybody knows the families that are in there. So they got it all renewed without them ever even knowing that it was done. Joe Norton renewed it just like that. It's not that they had the choice to hey, let's get back to see if we want to all renew it. What are they going to say anyways? They're all getting paid for it, so they're all going to say yeah. And the reality is that land, Kanienkehaka, do you want it back? What could be done with that land? That land is poisoned. You think that what he's talking about of contaminated land by what they're doing now? Kanienkehaka has been poisoned for 100 years. 100 years of poison. There isn't a goddamn thing that anybody can do on that land. The soil is poison. It's a golf club. What do they do on a golf club? It's chemicals. That land is poison. So, number one thing in Kanienkehaka, let's understand, we think, oh, we got green here. Why? Because of all the golf courses? You might as well just paint it green. It's not really green. It's a lie because it's all chemicals. How many golf courses in Kanienkehaka? How many landfills in Kanienkehaka? when we look at what's the possibility of what the good land is here in Kanienkehaka, you'd be surprised. You know, this is landfill. We're standing on landfill right here. This is all landfill. And it's not good landfill. We're standing on it. You think it's good grassy. You got no idea. How many of you know what this land, what the landfill is that's here? None of you know. I was playing. I grew up in that house right there. When I was 5 years old, we lived in that house. This land right here, this was all landfill. The whole field here. There was no field. It was all landfill. This is basically like if we're in Denmark, this is a dike. This is a dam here. Look at where the land is. It's down there. You see all of this raised? Why is it raised? Because of the seaway. This is a dike. It's a dam you're on top of. Landfill. All of Kanienkehaka is landfill. You just don't realize how much of it is. So we got to take this position. Because like it or not, everything that's coming down on us, we're going to fight try to save and preserve what the hell we got. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to fight tooth and nail to try to preserve what we got for you, for the people coming up behind you. Because if we don't, what the hell good are we? Are we worth anything if we don't do anything about it? Okay, so that issue then, we're going to address this also. So we're going to create another document. Now, these are just documents, just words. But right now, words are loose in each of our heads to have maybe kind of a loose position on something. But until we get it all together, we formulate it all together, then we'll have a solid position and know this is what we're all going to stand behind. Okay, so we're going to do something too about the corporate ownership of lands of Kanienkehaka. This is going to be addressed. We're going to take action this week. Again, if somebody wants to come with us, to go to community services, to go to start investigating this, it'd be better if it was more than just me.
So because, like, I addressed what I'm going through with my home, my land, and I was said, okay, I'm gonna wait till Tuesday, and then we're gonna go talk to the new chief. It ain't gonna do any good because he's tied. He's tied up with that. It's all the same. I mean, they passed the buck anyway. You know, you talk, like she said, she talked to them and they all passed the buck. Go talk to this one, go talk to that one. So I'm here because I want help. I need at least backup. I have nobody to back me up. My family doesn't talk to me. They're all in the system now. You know, Fran works at the she's tied. KSCS, she's right with them. Tammy's the new cannabis creator. You know, one of them is Jehovah. She just doesn't even talk to me because they're not allowed. So anyways, I have no backup. My mother's in the elders lodge. My father's passed away. So I'm all alone on this. So I figured, okay, you know, can somebody help me? Because all I want is just this thing to have I just want them to put a cover on it so I don't have to smell it and see it, you know, and move it back to where it was, or even put it, you know, where it was at the first place, which was next to the White family, the late Peter White, which is why I helped him out. I signed his little petition, and then I got the whole garbage bin on my land because the late Randy Goodley figured, hey, you know, you signed the petition and you're gonna get it now. And this is how it's been for 20 years, but now it's worse. It's right in my back. It's right in my back window. My daughter has pictures right now. But the thing is that, okay, this is an issue and I need help. I need at least to help me just to say, look, hey, help her, you know, like put a lid on, because I can't go to the band council on Tuesday after, you know, coming here and knowing what we're up against. I'm not gonna do that.
Okay, let me address this really fast because of look what's coming our way. We can't stay here too much longer. We got rain coming down on us. Okay. Myself, I'd be willing to come and to your place tomorrow, Tuesday, say 1 o'clock-ish. Just to come and look, just to come and hear if anybody else here, the president, is willing to go and do this. So tomorrow, 1 o'clock, your story, see what this is. Maybe we'll take a live video. Who knows? Maybe a little bit of pressure like that, might do something. So this is what we're committing to help you do on that level. It's the most that we can do. We're not going to say we're going to go there and we're going to move the garbage cans or something. So there you go. We'll help.
On my behalf, when he's over, I used to work for the shop. I got the number. See what I can do. It's only right thing to do. They closed the dump years ago. They thought it let the snow that anymore. So, I'll do what I can. I'll approach them in a nice way and the affected people are supposed to be helping the community, so it'll be all right then.
Okay, we're gonna have to really cut this short here. For everything that was addressed or that was identified that we have to adjust, is there anything that was left out? Did we not address everything? Okay, so let's see. The first thing was the nexus that you wanted to address in creating the eviction notice of this. We're gonna work on that document. Pursue it a little further that you can with Lisa and see whatever she can present to us from Nexus on their end and then us a dog it. Any little bit of information might help. Okay, so we're gonna do that. We're gonna take this other approach to create the positions. So right now it's just creating positions that we know that right now it may just look like writing, but it's positions that we know then that we can all get behind. So it's a slow process. Okay, is there anything that anybody that wanted to bring up? And we'll close for today. Okay, anybody want to do the close? You want to do the close? Do the closing? Okay, well, if that's the case, Edith, just to let you know, Edith is of Zapotec. She is here within our nation learning the great law of peace, all the functions of longhouse, all of this. So she's learning law, legal. So okay, so we're gonna close this meeting and we're gonna end up closing the Zoom too, I guess, right? Okay, yeah, we're closing everything.
Just from the people, there was Kellyanne that was saying that she would like to come and sit with you guys, so she will contact you. And there's also Yakun from the Ritila Nation there. So gracias por estar ahí. Ya we'll go on.
Okay, as fast as possible, just so that some of these know. We've been doing Zooms with people of the South in the Reconstitution of the Eagle and the Condor, and this is to bring our original peoples back to original instruction, each of us in each of our territories. So in the South, we have been working together to bring back and support the people in each of the territories. So without us coming together like this, it's just them on their own, just us on our own. We all don't know about each other, but now we know about each other. We're coming together, so we're bringing our positions together, standing together. So this is going to be one voice. Eventually, we're returning one voice to our people from north to south. So that's what the Eagle and the Condor process is.
Wagatsanuni, Hagogo, Vanungwe, Vanarunungwe, Skatne, Katsanhayan, Agwex, Dano Condor. Edit YouTube, Sista Soko, Exotayandajesque Panchita, the Ganaxotaneda Indajesque Salsa, Zapotecni Hunsage, Mishika, Hawanelista, Yanatahuni, Yankinostatista, Nantaharai Ganasesne, Yadiyangaha, Ganawag in the Wisnia Hunsage, or Norage Goanoge, Teinchinorato, Garonwagariageso, Yankisota, Santaneka Garaqua, Yankinistani, Hunsaki, Tanagwe, Goskatne, Kundum Hetzeradawats, Taranyowago, Sawiskara, Sini, Kanya Taragero, Aguego, Aquatsirene, Ganigurio, Yadiñato, Yanatahuni, Yotiscarwege. Ayunki Atagen Hadandawa, on Hetzeran, Awe Gatsanhaya, Dano Awe Kawatsire. Itinawirado Jagunsise, the Ganawida, Wadodiane, Rodiane, Neyohahio, Kanigurio, the Nogayandawana, Gayanera Saragoa, the Gini de Yohade, Ayunki Atagen Hadandawa, and Hetzeran, Gasastancer and Negununwe, the Nogayandawana, Gasastancer Rununwe, the no Awekawatsire, Awekatsanhaya, Gandarun Quatserowana, Orihuio, Skana, Gasastancera, the Nogariwa Warishunsera, the Nogatana Gasa, it is ours. It is ours. It is ours. So when you guys want to
Okay, as you know, the final thing that we do is to make it real and not just words. Some of you may not want to do this. I know it's a tough thing to do. Yeah, we'll go. Oh, you mean hug? Yeah. You don't do that. You know, go. We'll punch each other. No, go. New Year's.
You did. You did.
Only on New Year's.
I think we're stuck. Our glasses.
Do I choke?
Yeah, we went away. We went after.